It's a little early, but I'm just checking in, looking at some things. See if today's gonna work out all right. Check if I can be hoyed. We'll see. Hopefully, folks file in here. Oh, about 10 minutes early. File in shortly. Just real quick, because I ain't got no OBS stuff. So that's the problem. Peekaboo. They just don't, I can't get it to work on this laptop yet. It gets all clunky and funky. Oh, we'll see. We'll do it this way. All right. So really. Try it, Restream. Figuring out a new thing. Shall return. If you're lucky. returned. Let me shut this one noisemaker off in the background. What? Muchacho bear. Let me get me a little Frito snack, little chips. Let's do this here. A little more better. Make sure we do this. Yeah. Oh, yeah, here. Oh, that looks all right. I gotta do this to read this. Jotchki. Let's move that out of the way. Let's tuck this up here somehow. Come on. That's a little better. Okay. Hi, how are you? And microphone checky check. And I'm on the tuba the yuba. I don't know if any of this chat's working or not. That's a little better read on the eyeballs. All right, homies, it is 1 o'clock. I said I'd be doing this today, 1 o'clock. Yeah. Hi, Arn Man. Hi. I'll read your chat. Hopefully you can hear me loud and clear enough. Good to see you, brother. Thanks for joining. Mucho apreciado. Got a little hokey camera system set up going on. The OBS I tried, I forget the name of it. It just didn't want to do what it should do on this laptop. So I got to fiddle around. So I'm going to do some Luddite type going overs of Harn. I'll be showing this for like, oh, look, this is how you cross-reference instead of pulling it up on screen. Launch is a go. Nice. And then I invited myself as a guest on my cell phone for the dice. I only have one other camera that can hook up to this laptop, which is showing the miniatures just for kicks. Oh, eye candy. We both know we don't really need them, but they're fun. They're fun. Oh, I spun that too fast. It don't want to focus. Whoopsie. We'll get the idea. Garbage old cam. Actually, it's not that bad. For what it is, it's not that bad. Hang out for a little bit and see if anybody else pops in. A few folks said they might try and make it. Hopefully they do. If not, oh well. They can watch this at their leisure. Hopefully they'll learn something, figure out something. Be somewhat intrigued. Yeah, let's see here. So many characters. We'll use that guy. We'll use that guy. Not that guy. What do we got here? That'll be our long bowman. And let's see what else we got here. For dagger, sword, shield. Whip, club, spear. Dagger, staff. Dagger, club. Okay, these two are not finished. All right. Okay. That's some sample stats. We're gonna get too deep into it, but I'll scratch the surface enough. It should scratch the itch per se. So how's the weather where you're at, Arn? Everything good? Fair to middling? We got cold, chilly, it's windy, it's oh yeah, 30 something I'm thinking. Zadrock would know if she chimes in, if she's up there talking to her friend, so we'll see. Hey, Jane, well, hey, yeah, you do your work, brother. Focus, thanks for popping in and saying hi. Shadow, what's up, bud? Thanks for popping in. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, watch later, Jane. It's going to be a light, you know, hopefully I'll scratch the itch good enough. It's going to be a light goings over. Nothing super in depth, but I think you'll smell what I'm stepping in. You'll get the idea. Yeah, the 3 camera setup. Well, this one you're seeing my face on is the laptop one. This one is the extra laptop one, and that one I invited myself to this stream, and that's my cell phone. So it's a little off. I don't have OBS yet. The one I tried, I can't remember the name. I tried a little while ago. It just doesn't want to quite catch. Doesn't want to quite work. So whatever, it is what it is. I think you folks will understand what I'm explaining. You know, you're gonna know what this Harn thing's all about, especially if you've been paying attention to some of my other Harn streams, Harn videos. So, how's the weather where you're at, Shadow? I'm going to give it a few more minutes. A couple other people wanted to stop in. And if they don't, we'll get started. figure I'd be considerate. There you go, get me a chew. Well, nicotine pouch. There we go, got it. Yeah, you'll hopefully you'll get to see more what this Harn thing is all about. I like it. It intrigues me. I've never sat and played yet or ran. Cold and windy. Yeah, same here. We got a little snow. It's I don't know if Zadrock's watching it or not. She's talking to a friend. It's got to be 30 something, 32, 28, somewhere around there. It's cold and windy here too. Cold and windy, cold and windy. Very, 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 very light snow. Almost looks like frost, but nah, there's some snowflakes. Definite winter dandruff. Yeah, this game's percentile. Everything's a skill. Spell casting. Arcane, divine, both. Combat. Hunting, fishing, pottery, whatever. Reading, writing. It's all skills. All percentile. Which I like. And again, I've said it before. I'll say it again. Level less. Class less. I like it. Hit point less. Meh, that's alright. That's alright. It has its merits and then it has its but so does having hit points. So do having to hit a point to. So I take it everyone can hear me fine, which is good. Keep looking over at the. Those are 15 mil, by the way, if you guys couldn't guess. It's on one of my little Lazy Susan terrain things here. I'll lift this up and give everyone a better view. Oh, come on now. There we go. Little hex. Things I like to make. on the Lazy Susan on the turntable. Whoa. They're neat. They don't take up a lot of space. They work. Let me see if I can't lift this up just a hair. Kind of put it more. Yeah. And now we gotta do this, of course. There we go. That a little better. A little better. All right, what time we got here? All right, it's 10 after. 21 minutes. Of course, I did something a little early. Was messing around. Let me look here on the combat. I'm just going to read it out of the HârnMaster version 3.5.2. It's this one here. 3.5. The pointage, the updates, they're just updates. They clean it up. That's all. It's nothing overly different. It's out of the HârnMaster fantasy role-playing book. Combat 1. Right there. I'll show you the picture of it because, again, no OBS, no OBS. I love the art. Love, love, love the art. Sorry about the glare, but the art's really cool. Man, I'll read this out of here. All right. So, combat. Combat resolution is an elusive struggle to balance playability with realism. Players invest a good deal of time in their characters and ought to resent any combat system that dispatches them arbitrarily. I mean, the HârnMaster combat system rewards players with a variety of tactical options and extensive weapon and armor details, but remains highly playable. Still, the perils of Mortal Kombat favor players who know when to fight and when to flee. Hello. All right, scale and components. They do have it. You can use miniatures. HârnMaster is set up for like a 25 millimeter miniature, so you're 28. You could do 15 mil, whatever scale, really. But using the 25 millimeter miniatures, 28s, whatever. 1 inch equals 5 foot, or 25 millimeter, which equals 150 centimeter, which equals 1.5 meters. So whatever, you know, if you use the millimeter scale, then there you go. The combat area and terrain are defined by the GM. The playing surface may be covered with a 25 millimeter, 1 inch hexagonal hex grid. Please assume that the 25 millimeter hex grid is being used. Although it is easy to work without one, simply read all the references to hexes as units of 5 game feet, 1 inch on the board. So every inch would equal your 5 foot. If you use 15 millimeter, well, 1 inch would be 10 foot. But what I have set up here, this little scene with these guys, it's going to be a kind of a, rough example. Just something for some eye candy, some visual. That's all. All right. Now, there are some optional rules that add more depth to the combat. Which we'll get into. All right, the combat profile is a reverse of the character sheet. Character profile, which I'll show a blank one here. That's the front of a character sheet. And then the back, again, this is a blank. The back is your combat profile. Oh, dropped some character sheets down here on the floor. Sorry. I forgot these had these in the back. Yeah. There's that. And here's one that's kind of filled out. Kind of, it is filled out. That's one of the combatants in this combat example. All right. Well, you have your endurance, which is pivotal, which plays a role in whenever you would be stunned or knocked out, possibly bleeding from a wound. Your movement. Your characters move a number of hexes in one combat turn. The move equals the agility for humans, and is subject to a physical penalty, such as you're injured or encumbrance. There's an alternate move generation method. You can roll 3d6. However, your movement should not be more than 4 points away from your agility. That is, if your agility score is 12, your movement can range from 8 to 16. So, you want to do that. Do it. Dodge. Everyone has a dodge ability to dodge. Here on the back, you should be able to see right there, dodge. It's your agility times 5. And it is also a trainable skill. You can choose to dodge an incoming attack. Load is part of your items worn and carried, part of your encumbrance. Your encumbrance penalty is factored in. Your weapons, you have your weapon data. You have the weight of the weapon quality, +1, +2, +3 sword, whatever, spear, axe, and then your attack and defense class of that weapon, which is here. It's the A/D. I want to make sure you can see it right there. The mastery level of the weapon. And then the BEP, that is the blunt, edged, and piercing attack value, because you can choose to, for some reason you want to hit them with the pommel of the weapon. Well, that would be the blunt value. Edged value or piercing value. Some like a club that doesn't really have a edged or piercing value. And those are compared to any layers, any armor. Armor is DR in this game. So certain armors are better protective against certain attack values. Easy peasy. Simple. Facing, that's obvious. You're facing, and if you're using a hex grid, it's an obvious thing. It's the facing. If you know someone's aggressive and coming to get you, you're most likely going to be facing that opponent. It's kind of a common sense ruling. Yeah, combat is resolved in a 10-second turn. It is assumed that at any given instant, unless physically restrained, a character will always face the most obvious threat. It just makes sense and makes the combat go a little smoother. You don't have to I turn. I mean, you can if you want. And there's some weapon data. Certain weapons are listed as a knightly weapon, noble weapons. So in play in this particular setting, Harn world, you're carrying around a kite shield. You might get questioned, like, Where'd you get that? That's not a common folk type weapon. Or you can hand wave it, and depends on how intense you want to be on the setting. And then your armor types. Let's see. There's cloth. There's quilt. There's leather. There's kerbal, ring, mail, scale, and plate. Most of these armor take into account of certain layers. Some armors are layered with other armor types, so the final value of said armor is taking that into consideration. There's armor quality as well as weapon quality. +1 armor adds +1 to your blunt edge point. And there's also a fire rating, which includes some magic, resistance to certain magics. The optional rule, armor damage. When a body location is covered by armor and hit by the edge or point of a weapon and a serious or grievous wound result, the armor at that location may have a hole in it. And if that same location is struck again, there's a certain percentage that might actually hit that weak spot and bypass that armor's value, armor's DR. When you're walking in a combat situation, your move is halved. If you're jogging, you get a full move. You run, double move. If you sprint, you get triple move. Long reach weapons like a spear or pole arm, it would cover an extra hex in front of you. So anybody trying to enter in, get in close, a sword wielder against a spear wielder, if he's moving in on it, spear wielder would get a tactical advantage, attack of opportunity. You roll. If it's a miss, swordsman is in close. Now the spear is not that effective. Or the pole arm. Easy peasy, nothing overly complicated, common sense. A lot of it. All right, combat sequence. Now there is an initiative. It's stated that a normal circumstance, one side gains initiative, the other side doesn't, and you go around from there. Initiative also is a bit of a morale test. Initiative being a skill you can get better at gaining, the advantage, the initiative, and also keeping your wits about you. Like morale, you could be kind of paused for a turn and only act defensively. You can be completely caught off guard. You can actually freak out and just berserk and just start attacking, at a bit of a disadvantage, which that's kind of neat. That's kind of neat. And again, you just roll, all right, this particular fellow's initiative is a 44. So you have to roll under 79. Nope. Lost the initiative. 42. This fella gained the initiative. Or they kept their composure. And the other person, didn't. There's some combat fatigue variants. You don't really have to use it, but One of the variants is one fatigue level is assessed to all characters after each 5 minutes of active combat. That's a lot of rounds, a lot of turns. Most likely, combat doesn't go that long. But if it does, it's there for you. It's there for if you want to use it. All right, you have your melee attack, your missile attack, a grapple attack, esoteric attack, which is spell casting. The melee attack sequence. Your attack declaration, a defense declaration. You test, you look at the results, and you determine injury. So, we'll say these two fellows right here, both was, one's got a pole arm, one's got a spear, so they're within poke distance. All right. Red will be this guy. The white will be this guy. All right, I'll just pick two fellows here. This guy's got a spear, and let's grab another one. Sickle longbow. Come on, I know I got two spear profiles here. All right. Well, this particular fella with the pole arm, I think it's a Bill, or Gizmir, something like that. He's not so good with it, but we'll just say, you know what? Okay. Gains advantage on initiative. Gains initiative. He gets to go first. He is going to attack. Obviously, unless you state otherwise, the most damaging aspect of your weapon, it's going to happen. You're going to use it. So he's going to attempt to attack. This guy's going to defend. Okay. The attack mastery level of the Gizmir guy, the Bill, this fella, is a 30. 27. He would hit. This fellow's going to defend. His defense on his spear is 42. He defends. All right, now this comes into where the chart is. You still compare notes. All right, let's do this. All right, he's going to try and block, which is the defense, which is up here. That's the 33. The attacker rolled a 27, which is here, attacker. All right. Both are at a moderate success. A critical success or a critical failure, a CF or a CS. CF, critical failure, CS, critical success. The way you would get a critical on either end of that scope, if either of these rolls would have been in a multiple of 5, so if he would have got a 25 or a 20 or a 15, would have been a critical. Same goes for the defender. Both moderate. So you compare your notes. You move across here. MS to MS, which is block. He defended. And you move and, rinse and repeat. Now, let's say, for example, the fellow with the pole arm actually struck his opponent. You roll for the hit location. A 20. There's no critical on hit location. It's just where the blow lands. It is assumed, unless otherwise stated by the attacker, that there's 3 aiming zones: high, mid, and low. If you do not state you're aiming high or low, you are aiming in the mid. You can see the chart. Low only covers the lower portion, and the higher portion, you can see that. He wasn't declaring anything. He just rolled a 20 on his mid shoulder. Now, if the roll on that comes up an even, it would be the right shoulder. If it was an odd roll, say he rolled a 21, it would still be a shoulder hit, and it would be the left shoulder. Fair enough. The weapon damage for this particular weapon, you can't roll damage at the same time, but you can roll your strike and the location at the same time, because damage can vary. Okay, this fella, his particular weapon, it does the most damage is a 7. You don't roll any d6s with that. That is a flat 7. If that attacker were to roll, let's say he had a moderate success against a moderate failure of a block, you'll see the A1. You're comparing moderate success against the moderate failure. That A1, that means the attacker lands a blow and adds a d6 to that damage for the effective impact. So let's pretend that happened. The effective impact for that weapon is 7 plus a d6. Got a 3. So that's a 10. The armor that the defender is wearing, okay, he's got a vest, so it does cover his shoulders. You can see here where certain bits of armor only, if you ain't wearing armor, it covers a certain bit. You're not reducing damage. And then the values are against certain damage types. Easy peasy. So he did 10, but the fellow's got a vest, and it does cover his shoulder. The damage reduction is 3. You can see it over here, I believe. 3. So 10 minus 3 is 7. So the effective impact on a shoulder, now it has these, you can see the 1 plus, 5 plus, 9 plus. So it's in between the 5 and the 9. And the 5 and 9 in between that, so it's a 5 plus. It doesn't go greater than 9. You have to be, so between 5, 6, 7, 8. That's kind of damage you would take. The effective impact, it would be considered a S2. S2. S is serious. Serious. It's either a fracture, a cut, or a stab. The 2 is your fatigue levels, your damage levels. So, on a counter strike, you make a note of this on your injuries, the location, the HR, which is healing rate, IL, which would be 2, injury level. So this fellow with the spear, on his next attack, He has an IL injury level of value of 2 so far. So he takes, for every injury level, you subtract 5% to your skill. So he would subtract 10% on his next attack because, man, that really hurts. Ouch, oosh. As well as what goes along with these injury levels. Now, it's only a 2 so far. So you would roll a 2d6. Got a 7. Well, this particular fella, his endurance, which isn't that great, so he could have failed, is a 9. If he would have rolled greater than 9 versus his endurance, he would have been stunned, knocked out, unable to act. So every time you take another injury, let's say, for example, another blow is landed, he takes a injury level 1. He has 3. They add up. So now he's rolling 3d6. Yeah, he's out. He's ouchie. He's stunned, incapacitated. You know, if it was a bludgeoning weapon against, you know, his skull, knocked unconscious. You know, common sense rulings. You know, common sense rulings on that type of deal. Ranged combat, pretty much the same, except for, I mean, the obvious. If you are unaware of a ranged attack, which usually you are, I mean, sometimes you're not. You see the archer. You're only going to be able to block if you have a shield or dodge. If you're unaware, it would be considered ignore on the chart. And ignoring a blow is a big ouch. But I mean, you know, this guy over here in the trees, you know, these guys are engaged. Let's say he comes up, they don't notice. Plink. I mean, even on, if the attacker gets a moderate failure against someone ignoring, they add a d6 to that damage. If they get a moderate success, they add 3. If they have a critical success, they would add 4 die to the possible effective impact, the injury. So let's just say he got a critical success. He's going to add that much. Now let's see where he hit. You know what? He's aiming high. 29 on aiming high. Aim high, 29. Face. Ooh. And the face has different hit locations. So let's see where he hit him on the face. 42. Hit him on the cheek. Again, odd is left, right is even roll. 42, even roll. Hit him in the right cheek with an arrow. Ooh. Well, right cheek. Ugh. Ouch. And he's attacking with, you know what, he's going after this fellow with the leather cap. However, if you notice, the leather cap only does the skull, doesn't do the face. So there is no DR. We're getting hit in the right cheek with the arrow. And let's pull up a longbowman here. I know I have someone with a longbow here in this stack of characters. Longbow, okay. Now, here's where it gets a little clunky, but not really. Ranged weapons, they do their static damage, but it depends on the range. All right, if he's within short range, the impact would be a 6. Medium range 5, long range 4, extreme range 3. Here, he's shooting at that fella. Let's see. He's still considered short range, so the effective impact is 6. So he does 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 14. The effective impact is a 14 to this fella's face. Between 13 and 17, okay, that's a G4 wound. Grievous. Crush, cut, stab. So for the fellow with an arrow in his cheek, considering, let's say he had no damage, previous wounds, previous injury levels, he has to roll 4d6 because it's a 4 wound. Got a 15. And we'll say this fella, he's the one with the bill. His endurance is a 14. Well, he rolled over his endurance. He's out. He's stunned. He's knocked unconscious. And you go from there. It's really that easy peasy. I mean, yeah, you consult charts, but once you get the hang of consulting the chart, and every player would have this in front of them with their character sheet. It's not part of the character sheet, but it's not hard for a GM, a DM, referee, whatever you will. It's not that hard to make a copy, a printout, hand it out to every player. Here you guys go. This is how we reference. This is what we're looking for. I mean, it's really that simple. So this guy took this guy down. All right. We'll just say he fell over, got the arrow in his cheek, and he fell over. Well, what do you think this guy's going to do? He's going to come up and chuck him right in the face. He's going to end him. He's going to do what he can to end him. That guy's done. It's simple. Now you could do a test. You know, GMs can say, all right, look, you're down on the ground. You're not knocked out. You're rolling around in pain. You happen to notice this guy's coming in for the kill. You got one chance. You're going to dodge. You roll your dodge against his attack. If you succeed, okay. Back to the next round. You're up on your feet. You have a 4 wound. You're 20% less because of the pain and the distraction of the arrow sticking out of your jowls. Boom. Reroll combat defense. Rinse and repeat. Till either someone gives up, runs away, is taken prisoner, or El Kildo. Forge and Brush, what's up, buddy? Fritzy just arrived. I just went over a short little combat. Excuse me. Didn't even had an archer take a shot. Real short, real easy, real simple. I'll go through it again. Let's just say this guy with the spear or the pole arm, the bill or whatever, and this guy's got a sword. Okay, put these guys out of the way. We'll still have this archer. We'll let the crowd decide. Who's friends with the archer? Let me move this tree out of the way. There we go. Is it? We'll move him in. Get a little better shot here. Let's put him all over here. Put these guys back here a little more. There, he's lined up for a little better shot. The archer, is he on the side of the swordsman or the polearm? I'll go through one more quick combat. What do we think? What do we think? Anybody can chime in. Because there is rules for when you're shooting into combat, you might hit an ally. I mean, you know, we're supposing, as all combats, they're doing the dance. They're kind of, you know. So you're lining up the shot, and the guy moves and hits the other guy. Pardon me. Okay, he's on the side of the sword guy. All right, cool. Go through it again. You can roll your individual initiatives or side initiative. Yeah, Restream, I mean, so far it's treating me well. I mean, I'm doing all this for free. So I got the laptop camera going, the hooked up camera to the laptop, and then I invited myself in on my phone. Get 3 cameras going. Like I said earlier, the OBS, the one I forget the name of it. I don't think it was the one you recommended. It just didn't. The laptop just, I don't know. I'm a bit of a Luddite. It didn't quite want to take. It didn't want to quite do what it was supposed to do. All right. So again, we got initiative. Initiative is a skill, so you can get better. This fella here with the sword and shield, his initiative is 60. It's on your combat profile. $12. All right. White guy is the archer, or white dice, and the black dice are the pole arms. All right. Sword definitely got the initiative. Now you lose. You fail your initiative roll. You can just go in order of numbers. Initiative is also, as I said earlier, Fritz, part of a morale check. Usually they handle initiative. If everyone knows what's going on, you can flip a coin what side goes, or you can actually go through individual initiative checks and see what their first reaction is. And considering it as part of a morale, some initiative tests, you have your critical failure, your moderate success, your critical success. Which is the range of any skills, all skills. So he had a moderate success. Again, crits are in multiples of 5, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. You know, you have to roll under on your skill. So he got a moderate success. On a moderate success, character does his action normally. The other two had a moderate failure. The characters are cautious for this turn only, so they pass. They kind of, well, I'm not quite, I'm getting lined up. I'm getting, you know, you go from there. All right. I forget, was Red the guy with the bill? I think so. The pole arm. think? Should have jotted it down. We'll just say the red was the polearm fella. He gained the initiative. The other two are going to be cautious. So, again, I suggest you roll your location die and your skill die at the same time. You don't have to. But if you succeed at the skill, at the strike, there you go. You got it. All right, a 90. No, that was a critical failure. So we ignore the hit location. He critically failed. Now, he is going to pokey pokey at this fella, but he's acting cautiously. Well, if you're cautious, I would say you could say either you got the dodge or the block option. So he's going to try and dodge the swordsman. 77. No. So we have a critical failure of attack against a moderate failure dodge. Okay, this is interesting. That's where that ends up on that chart. This is AS. The AS is the attacker. It's a stumble roll. He might fall flat on his face. A stumble roll or a fumble roll is a dexterity check. A dexterity check, all stat checks are let me get out the stats for the one fellow with the sure, this guy will work. Okay. This guy right here, dexterity. I think you can see it, 9. Pretty easy. Easy to figure out. In order him for not to fall on his face, he's got to roll 9 or under on a 3d6. Oh, yeah. He kind of went, oh. The attacker falls down. Next turn. Well, sword guy, he's going to step in because he's no longer at a range, at a disadvantage from the polearm. He's going to whack him. Well, that guy is prone. Prone, he's aware of the attack, and I believe being prone. Let's see here. Let me flip through these pages. Stumble. All right, he's at a, I believe it says here, it's all the way in these skills. Let me double check. Let me get this accurate. It says look up skills 22. Okay. Stumble roll, agility test. Okay, it was his agility, not his dexterity. But we'll just, all right, he failed. Roll 3d6, add physical penalty to the roll, which he had none. Any modifiers from the stumble table below. He wasn't running, it wasn't darkness, wasn't this, wasn't that. So he stumbled, okay. Just double checking on that. And I believe because he's laying prone, he'd be at a disadvantage to do anything other than dodge. He doesn't have a shield. He's going to try and dodge this swordsman attack. All right, the red guy's going to try and dodge. 48. His dodge skill is a 70, which is nice. He's laying down on the ground. All right, he's at a minus 20. Still makes it. Still gets out of the way. Well, we'll see. Attacker still might strike. 45. for the swordsman. Yes, it is a hit. 45 being a critical. Critical success against a moderate success on a dodge. Critical success, moderate success. All right, it still lands. Still lands the blow. A1. That adds a die to the sword's damage. The sword, short sword, 4. So I add a d6 to 4. Ooh, 10. Where'd he hit? Let's see where he hit first. 54. He's not aiming anywhere. He's just going for the aiming zone. There's high, mid, and low. He's going mid. Unless it's announced otherwise, you always go for the mid-range. .54. That would be thorax. All right, here's the guy with the bill with the thorax. Let's see here. All right, let's say this guy on this particular combat's got, where is this guy? We'll do this one. Yep, these are the weapons. This is the armor that he's wearing and the coverage of armor. Okay, he has a breastplate. Breastplate and backplate. So his front and back are covered. So okay, and against the edge is a 4. So 10 minus 4 is 6. The effective impact is 5 plus on the thorax, which is an S2. Serious. 2. Take that. Roll your D6s. Compare against your endurance. An 11. That fella, I think that fella's endurance was pretty crappy in the last example. I think it still is. $11. Oh no, his endurance is a 12. So he is not stunned. He's not knocked out. He's not doing Pete Griffin, as we call it. So he's all right, but he took an S2 impact, S2 wound. Well, he's on the ground. He's up. Now he's going to take a shot. Why not? This guy's prone. He's a little bit of a disadvantage because he's prone. But he's still going to shoot. So let's see here. He's not calling any particular strike zone. So a 57 and a 73 for the strike zone. Let me see if that is a hit with his longbow. All right, let's get rid of that guy so I'm not confused. All right, the longbow. He is at a 47% to hit. 57. Nope. And his disadvantage, I think, is something like 20%. So yeah, he definitely missed. But still, it's a moderate failure. Well, this guy doesn't know he's getting shot at, so he's ignoring it. So even on a moderate failure for the missile attack, on the ignore, nope, it's a miss. It's a standoff. There's the missile attack. It's over here. Ignore is over here. That dot. So he missed. Now, because this guy could be coming in for a killing blow, there's a chart to see if he hits his buddy. Well, it's not a chart. It's in the actual rule book. and I forget what it is, but it's there. It's missile combat, defense declaration, dodge, ignore, catch missile, high velocity, range. Where are we at here? Yes, it could be considered a wild shot. And it would be you would determine if this is hexes. I don't have any hexes here. This, you roll a d10, 7 through 10, okay, and it goes around this way and this way. So on a d10, 7 through 10, got a 7. So he missed, and the arrow just kind of went to the target, but missed. Didn't hit his friend, didn't hit his ally. And then rinse and repeat. He stands up. You can judge, all right, that was his turn. These guys go. You could re-roll initiative if you want to do it that way. Everyone, but that's for the initial encounter, because you're not doing a morale test anymore unless you deemed it valuable, worthy. Say 2 of his party got dispatched near immediately. He's just looking around. Do initiative and see if you don't go berserk and just start fighting for your life. If you don't give up, if you don't run away. It's suggested you use that more for the NPC combatants than you do PCs, because players are, they're pretty much in control of their characters. They can choose for themselves. But if you want to include that for something a little variable, little added fun, randomness. But yeah, that's how it goes, fellas and ladies. If there's a lady peeking in here, I just see the fellas that have been commenting. Yeah, it's that simple. Like I said, every player, you just print this off. You get get a PDF of it, or just take this to a copy machine at the library or whatever. Every player, everybody at the table has this particular sheet, particular thing of charts. You're good to go. That's all they need. It's easy. I mean, it looks at first, you're like, what the heck? No, fairly simple. It's brutal. The curve, the ouch curve it's there, but it's not supposed to be. It's not, even though it's got in-depth. It's got some combat profile's got some meat on the bones there. It's got a lot to it. Just because it has that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to want to be doing that all the time. And stereotypically, starting characters don't start off with a lot of weapons or armor. Got to earn it. Buy it, find it, however. But you could, DM could say, hey, look, here's the deal. Y'all's was a conscript in the local militia. You're outfitted with XYZ and ABC. Give them a little starting advantage. That's why you have this. That's why you have that. And then you go on to the actual, adventure, the story. There's many ways you could approach that, or you get real nitty gritty and say, hey, you're freaking, you're you start out as a broke ass son of a fisherman that fishes the rivers and streams near your hamlet, and you got next to nothing. But any referee, any DM worth their salt, they wouldn't throw, oh, well, this guy's got full plate and you got, rags, unless it was part of a story or you just were doing a story or game that way. And you better say, yeah, I yield, parlay. Or you can go all out, all in, and try and get them, try and kill them. You can do, they grapple is what they consider a grope. They call it grope. There's easy rules for that. It's pretty much skill. It's just the same, except for either you grab them or you don't. There's the rules for if, like a crossbow, you got to load that. We know crossbows take time to load, so you'd have to do a grope check for your one turn. On the next turn, if you succeeded, you can now fire. That's all. See if you could wind it up fast enough. See if you could pull it up fast enough. Yes, flank of the enemies. Yes, Arn. Yeah, there's definitely tactical aspects to it. There's you can flank, you can confuse the enemy, you can and there's not necessarily stated rules for all of the aspects you could possibly do. However, if you've been playing games for a little while, running games for a little while, one can easily say, oh, you're at a 20% advantage or 30% or 10% disadvantage, or you could factor that in. Yes, fights are something to avoid, especially if your stats are kind of, and they do have a veteran character creation process. It's a point buy. It's in the rules. You could use that easily. Yeah, bard in the party. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, it's a minus because you're distracting them. Yeah, it's probably 20 or 30%. I would say. I would just judge it. You're like, dude, you're worrying about two or three, two fellas at the same time. You're minus 30 just so you don't mess up critically in a descriptive sense. Yeah, you really get rid of this. Get rid of my nicotine pouch. But yeah, you can. It's easy to educate. Make judgment calls on different situations, scenarios. So yeah, that's really the easy peasy bit of it. I said this earlier, Fritz. I don't think you were here. It's set up that you can use miniatures in this game. They're assumed at a 25 millimeter miniature, so 28, whatever. You use a hex grid for any type of combat mapping. 1-inch hexes. Every hex equals 5 foot. Standard. Yeah, there's no class or levels. Like this spearman, he could have gone off to a chantry, which is like a mage's school, and learned an invocation or two. He could actually have a spell or two under his belt. And then you just would roll your skill check for your casting. And they have it broken down how long a casting takes. Each turn, each combat turn is 10 seconds roughly, by the way. It would have how long it would take for you to do the invocation, and then on success, how long the effect lasts. And same with any clerical, any divine casters. Same thing. It's real easy, real simple. You know, some folks, like I said, I'll say it again, they see this right here and they're like, uh-oh, nah. You just cross-reference, and that's what you get. And then you do, and then you're there. Yes, 5 foot per hex. Yes. Yeah, you could do, you know, so because I'm at 15 millimeter scale, every inch is 10 foot. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, even like something like I'm going to use the Baron's War. Well, they assume it's 28 mil, 1 inch per 5 foot. Well, I'm doing half, so the range is just double. That's all. That's no. I mean, if you're not getting overly, you know, deep, and you want some tactics, but you're not getting, you know, some kind of competition level. No. The players and the referee are all on the same page and saying like, man, close enough. All right, attack. Well, then have your fun and game it out, play it out. Yep, 1 inch equals 5 foot. Yeah, the assumed. Yes, and it has a centimeter thing for the 15 millimeter figs. You could easily do that. I mean, a rough, you know, 15 millimeters. Nowadays, we use 28 millimeter miniatures, not 25. So it's almost half of a 25 millimeter. So, okay, every inch is 10 feet. I mean, unless you want to do centimeters and millimeters, then it'll be a little under an inch would be 10 foot, you know. Be like 7/8. Or 13/16 or something, you know, whatever. If you still do inches, you just get a millimeter ruler and centimeter ruler and do that easily. Easily peasily. Yeah, HârnMaster. This game he said he's played it a couple times. He said it's pretty stinking brutal, which I can see. The spiral can really get you. Can really get you. Or there's rules for veteran characters, or you could judge, like I said, you know, the beginning handful of PCs, they know each other. They were conscripted in a local manor, local barons skirmish. Part of their duty of living at the manor on the lands. They survived, and you don't have to play it out, or you could play it out. They survived, and okay, they're, you know, when they're starting sword skill was at say 42%. Well, guess what? It's at 50% because you went through hell for 3 months. You learned a little bit, you know. And by the way, you got a little extra bit of armor, this, that, for being conscripted, and it's yours. You could easily, all kinds of ways to give your characters, your beginning PCs, a little bit of an edge from what's flat out suggested, flat out ruled. That's all. I like it. It seems like it'll be good. Be a good time. Be fun. Brutal. Got a good sense of feudal realism, especially the setting. Especially the setting. And I love the art. The artwork's awesome. And I'm sure, Fritz, you've thumbed through all the Avinia articles I sent you. The depth and detail is phenomenal. And the setting is system agnostic, so you could do whatever. Pathfinder, OSC, AD&D, whatever, you know. Use the one-wing rules for combat and character generation, whatever. Which that's always a plus, in my opinion, in my book. It's always a plus to have something like that. Always. What fantasy novels do I think this was inspired by? You know, folks, chime in. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head. I mean, this, I believe, was first published in 82, 83, or maybe it was 86. It was in early mid-80s. So whatever was around, available, you know, whatever was popular or not. That'd be a good question to ask the designers at Columbia Games. What might have inspired them? I know there was on a podcast, there was a hinting at something about Tolkien, but I don't think it's that Tolkien-esque. Of course, they might have been discussing something else. Probably wrong. Fog of my brain. You can learn skills. Like I said, on the character creation skills, they just take a little time, like in-game time, to learn, to actually be able to get a mastery level, base mastery level to use them. Every month of in-game time, you get a certain amount of skill maintenance points, skill practice points, whatever, to attempt to roll at your skill to see if you get better. You spend those points. Obvious suggestion, you know, say do a lot of combats and you survive. Well, guess what? You're going to get an extra roll or two at the items you were using in combat, at the weapons you were using in combat, to see if you get better at it, because it's part of practice. Excuse me. 82. All right. Yep. There you go, Iron Man. Yeah, I thought it was 82 or 83. This PDF, or not this PDF, this actual, but it's the 352 rules or whatever that I got, and it says 86. So I was just thinking that was the latest of the early dates. Yeah, 82. Yeah, nope. That's what I thought. I wasn't going to say for sure. I'm not going to say for sure. That's the only thing I hate about these things. There we go. I got to figure out a way to keep those the right way. Yes, it is 11th to mid 13th century. The setting, the technology of the setting. Yes, yes. It is written up. The setting itself is somewhat of a low fantasy, low magic, but I'm sure Arn Man will back me up on this. the magic, it's robust, but you can there's a lot. Same with the deities, the religion. The religion, here's the size of the religion. It's robust. So definitely available to do some spell casting. You can create magic items. You can attune yourself to magic items. You know, there's definitely magic is there. I mean, the kingdom of Meldrin, I believe, is the more of the magical kingdom. It's almost kind of, I would say it's rough similarity. There's stuff that's going on there that's kind of like, what was that group of mages that were in The Witcher? They went out and were advisors to different kingdoms and such. Yeah, Kuzdal. Yeah, I think there's an H in there, but yeah, there's the Kuzdun. Those are dwarves, and there are Sindarin. Those are the elves. It's largely humano-centric. When you could say, all right, I want to play a dwarf, or I want to play an elf. DM say, yeah, sure. But if you roll a character creation, I think it's a 97. If you roll 1 through 97, you're a human. 98, you're either an elf or a dwarf, and 99, you're either an elf or a dwarf. You're one of the two. And then if you roll 100, 00, GM's choice, player's choice. So you could just say, hey, we're all rolling to see what race we start off as. Keep it interesting, because it is definitely a humano-centric setting. But you don't have to. I mean, come on, we all know this. You ain't got to do that. Hey, we're all playing dwarves. Or pick what you want. But those are the 3 races. Yeah, I could see where it would work better as a monotheistic, but the polytheistic religions, though, that just adds a little bit more of intrigue and a little more fantasy flair. I mean, there's some pretty neat, interesting religions. Some really neat ones. Agric. And different chapters, different Ilver, Helea, different chapters of the different religions, different orders. Some have like knightly orders, like Laranai is deity. It's a religion. Laranai, let's see here. Laranai, Larani. Laranai is the benevolent goddess of chivalry and battle, and the reluctant warrior. Her followers claim she is the greatest of the trinity of war gods, but she is more constrained by honor and conscience than either Agric or Sargeron. This is a weakness, since Laranai will not strike without warning nor without cause. It is also a strength, since Lanarians do not forget whose side they are on. And then it goes on through with the in-depth of it. And then, like, here's a order, Lady of Paladins. That's an order within that religion. I believe there's an order of the Checkered Shield. Order of Hiveric. Hiveric. There's Spear of Shattered Sorrow. That's all for Laranai. Yeah, Order of Hiveric, Checkered Shield. You know, they do have some neat. There's a nice neat picture. Some neat stuff. I like it. I'm not much of a high fantasy guy anymore. I got kind of burnout on it. I like aspects of it, but I'm kind of burnout on it. Of course, I'm saying that, and I'm chomping at the bit to get the Dalmanwood supplement. That's a bit of a high fantasy. So I guess it's, yeah, whatever. The Copper Hook, yes, that's a good article. Yeah, there's some neat articles. There's some neat stuff to look into, Shadow, because it's got a lot of ideas. Same Fritz. A lot of neat ideas. I sent Fritz nearly the entirety, the good chunk of Ivinia, with a couple of the other kingdoms of Ivinia. Sent him a good chunk. He likes the Nordic Viking type vibe, type feel. I figured he would have got a kick out of it. So he's got a good chunk of that he could use if he would like one of these days, or just enjoy reading it. They're good reads. Can be dry at times, a little bit historical, but they're still good reads. Still really good reads. Yeah, the Copper Hook, yeah, that was a good one. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you could easily, yeah, and all this stuff, the way they've set this up, the setting, the world, you could pull and peel. You could do whatever, and it's really not going to screw anything up, really. It really isn't. Same with some of these rules, the combat and skill. You don't have to, you don't really have to use the skills. They have all the attributes. I mean, geez Louise, you have comeliness, you have strength, stamina, dexterity, agility, eyesight, hearing, smell, voice, intelligence, aura, will. Those can cover, you can do just your ability checks for things. Roll 3d6 and get under it, and there might be modifiers. You can do, there's so much, it can be a fairly modular game. You can do combat, you don't have to do, you can use all these skills, but get rid of your combat skills and use a D20 combat system. And you could say your endurance is your hit points and use hit points. You really can. You can really, house rule or modifier, however you want to say it, to do what you want fairly easily. And don't take away from much. You can still use the strike location and the armor as DR and still use endurance as hit points. And do the weapon, the weapon quality, the weapon aspects for your bludged edge piercing. You can still, it's easy. It's actually set up pretty easy to tweak if you've been around a little while, and I'm certain all of us here have been around a little while. Yeah, especially when starting out, you're working for someone. Absolutely. A guild, something. You're the lord of the manor, local baron. Yep, church. Yep. Nope, that makes sense. Where am I basing my campaign? The one I'm gonna put to the table in 2025 this year. It's going to be in the Kingdom of Kaldor. It's going to be on the border. Kingdom of Caldor. Well, I'm leaning towards the border of Caldor, and I'm not sure. But it's definitely a Caldor kingdom. Caldor, let me see here. I'll show you the book. I got all of them. Yeah, it might be on the border of Caldor and Chibissa, because Warball is way up top. Actually, we'll do this. I'll leave it up. You never know. Yeah. And of course, I have all the available articles that go with Caldor, the different manors and some of the maps, a lot of the maps and cities and whatnot. That's why this bad boy's meaty, because I do the so if anything does get released in a future article, future HârnQuest, I just put it in the binder and boom, I have it where it belongs. But that's just me. Yeah, Chibissa is good. It's a small one. I think it's the oldest, isn't it? Yeah, they all have their bits of intrigue and political goings, and they're broken down just so wonderfully. So wonderfully. I'm thinking about throwing in the characters into, well, like I've said before, I want to do a Baron's War, kind of an intro kind of thing, just for fun. Play that out. And the PCs were conscripted, and there's a little skirmish, you know, Caldor and local manor, local lord, and someone else. Not exactly sure if someone's going to be encroaching or if it's going to be some banditry or something. And that's how they start off with a little extra bump to some of the skills, some equipment, maybe even a few extra pennies. And then I'm thinking, what's that starter adventure? It's in Falcath. Field of Daisies. I might do that with them. Field of Daisies. That's a good intro adventure. I might do something along those lines. Yeah, Chibissa. There's the Chibissa module. I mean, the maps are wonderful. Wonderful art throughout. Here's another map. Points of interest. You know, it's all there. all there. Yeah, they got a lot of barbarian tribes. Yes, they do. Yeah, remove some of them. Sure. I mean, you can do, and it doesn't screw anything up. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Just see what all this stuff does. All right, well, there I went. And now I'm back. Huh. Interior buildings, caves, ceiling heights, and the maps. Yeah, very useful. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, so that's about it, really, for the combat. Like I said, just light and easy, just like I did character creation. I'm going to get super in depth. I don't have anything set up yet to really, I'm holding up the papers and everything. Ooh, look, what's this going on? Yeah. But yeah, here this year, that's another thing I want to do this year. Get something set up to show stuff a little better. Be a little more viewer friendly, I guess you could say. But yeah, I'm going to get off here, folks. I appreciate y'all joining in, hanging out. I got a few things I want to get done today, and if any of you guys stream today, I'll probably hop in and say hey. If not, another time, another day. I love you guys. Appreciate you. Thanks for stopping in. Hopefully this new year, hopefully it starts off well and continues with that momentum. I really do. All right, guys. Take care.